and 1 whole minute. Here we are. All right. Welcome to Jazz Voices, where we're shining a light on great jazz vocalists from everywhere. And today I finally get to hang out with one of the jazziest jazz vocalists I know. This is Mr. V. Shayne Frederick. Welcome to Jazz Voices Live.
Thank you for the invitation. I'm happy I was available. Let's do it. Let's go. Let's go.
Yeah. Well, first of all, before we get started, I have to know what the V stands for.
Ha ha ha.
I can't go around calling you V. Shayne Frederick every time I refer to you. So,
I mean, so the thing
what do people call you?
Some people call me Shayne. My mama calls me Shayne.
Shayne.
It's crazy.
Oh.
My mama calls me Shayne. You know, the people who know me call me Shayne, honestly.
Okay. So I'm not gonna get what the V stands. What? What is
so,
it?
so my
Or
first.
is it
Take a guess. Take a guess.
Victor? No. Okay, that's it. That's all I got.
It's not guessable. My first name actually is Velonza.
And you're right. It's not guessable. What is that? What? Say that again.
Velonza. It is Tagalog.
Velonza.
It's from the
Okay.
Philippines. Yeah.
Okay. And what does it mean? Wonderful singer,
Yes.
great musician, talented pianist.
Right. It means a black man from North Carolina. No, it's actually, oddly enough, it's actually a surname. It's a last name. I've never seen it as a first name. It's a whole story behind the story, and somebody gave my mama the name. One of those things. It's one of those things. You know?
Okay. All right, Shayne. All right. Well, let me let me tell everybody a little bit about you.
Sure.
Is a very talented pianist, along with being a superb jazz vocalist with some silky smooth baritone vocals. He's a creative composer and arranger. And I'm sure the students at the University of the Arts just love having you as a professor. And you also do some part-time work with the Philadelphia Contemporary as a co-curator for musical programming. Is that right?
Right.
And we're going to have to talk about this preschool music teacher. When do you find time to do that?
I'm trying to, I was doing that consistently for the better part of a year. It kind of goes in and out, but it's like, I was identified by a lot of people have preschool and day school programs like, hey, come in, bring some gear and make the children sing and make music. And so I bring like a little MIDI keyboard and I'm making beats and, we're doing nursery rhymes. So we're doing singing, but I'm finding like interactive ways to bring technology into the classroom and to
That's awesome.
music,
That's great. Well, you've been cited by the Broad Street Review as one of the region's busiest and best jazz singers, appointed one to watch, and a shining light by All About Jazz. And according to WXPN, your stunning baritone effortlessly soars. Sometimes seductive whisper, sometimes an exuberant belt. And I have to agree. With all of that. And if any of you have listened to my radio show on Fridays at WDPS 89.5, Dayton's Home for Jazz, you have heard his music. I just love it. I really do. When I look for jazz vocalists to play their music or to promote, I have to love the music. And that's probably not as fair as it should be, but I have to love the music. And speaking of your music, you have 5 recordings, a few EPs, and a couple of albums. The EPs, I'm wondering what your process, like, what are you thinking when you record an EP? Like you just say, I just want to lay down a few songs. You want to do a full album. How do you go about that process?
So to be honest, I think I front loaded everything. By the time had done the first album, or was like collecting things to complete one album project, because I think of concepts,
Okay.
it's concept driven. Like, I'm not just gonna be like, okay, I like these 10 standards. Let me just do these 10 standards. And I don't know, let's just, for me, it's like an artistic through line that connects whatever that body of music is.
Hmm.
Um, and so I did the first album I did, Lovesome. I did that, and there was someone I wanted to collaborate with, and I wanted him to do an arrangement or two for that project. His timeline was not going to work with the timeline that I was operating off of when I decided I wanted to put that work out. So I said,
Mm-hmm.
don't worry about it. I'm going to get back to you. And he got back to me like, all right, I did these 2 songs. Check this out. And I was like, this is great. I want to do an EP with just these 2 works, you know. And it kind of was a companion package to Lovesome that was called Gleaming. And then I said, yo, I want to do like a holiday EP, just like a couple things related to kind of Christmas. So I did a couple Christmas songs on it, and then songs related to the holiday season. That was Evergreen.
Right, right. I saw that. And
Right.
also, I Can't Give You Anything But Love is on there.
Right. And G Baby, Ain't I Good to You? And
Yeah.
those are songs about me giving you stuff. Right. So,
Oh.
okay.
Okay. All right. I'm seeing it. I'm seeing it
Right.
now. Okay.
A child is born,
Yes. Okay.
and I did, in my mind, I was focusing on, I guess, the Jesus aspect of A Child is Born,
Mm-hmm.
which some people see as a holiday. You can play that as a holiday song, right? But I'm sure Thad
Right.
Jones and so whatever. And then, so it was Children Go Where I Send Thee, which is a straight up spiritual, Oh Christmas Tree. So that was the holiday thing, right? And then
Mm-hmm.
after that, it was the very beginning of the pandemic, and also right after the whole George Floyd thing happened, which was at the beginning of the pandemic. And
Right.
I wanted to kind of like focus on a different kind of aesthetic. And so I did the Blacklight EP, 4 tunes.
Mm-hmm.
One had a rapper on it, which was not something,
Mm-hmm.
my boy came through in the studio and did a verse on it. And it was just different explorations, sonic explorations. And the guys were at home, and everyone was like, yo, I want to go in the studio. I'm bored, and I got some juice to get out, and this is a moment. Let's capitalize on this moment. So let's do something blackety black. And we did,
Mm-hmm.
that was Blacklight. And then for this project, the King Suite, which just came out, this full CD,
Right.
um, I got not tired. I got inspired to address the fact that a lot of people were always bringing up Nat King Cole when they came to me at the end of a performance. Oh my God, you remind me of. There were a bunch of people, but Nat King Cole always showed up. And that's a tall honor. I appreciate that. But I
Mm-hmm.
said, all right, let me do something. Let me do a Nat King Cole project,
Mm-hmm.
but I'm going to do it my way.
It's
And
your way too.
right, right. And
I love it.
that's what the King Suite is. The King Suite is 7 songs, some of which were very popular and some of which were not. Very, B-side, esoteric. You may have never heard of it.
Right.
But I wanted to take that body of music and kind of relocate it sonically, give it different textures, different rhythms, different treatments as far as arrangements, instrumentation, and really explore the possibility of what that music could look like today if Nat King Cole were performing it today with different ensembles. If he had listened to music from Haiti or the Afro beats, or if he wanted to, imagine what his artistic development would have been like today,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
given all
Yeah.
the influences that we had. And it's all
Right.
jazz. It's all
Right.
jazz.
Right. 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 Okay. So let me reel it back a little bit. You come from North Carolina. You been living in Philadelphia for about 20 years. How'd you end up in Philadelphia?
Um, the Great Migration is what it's called, for real, for real.
Mm-hmm.
My father's family moved here. So he's born here, my father.
Okay.
But they're all from also North Carolina. So even though they go back it's one of those, you go back home every summer,
Right.
which is how he
Right.
met my mother, who's still in North Carolina. But and they moved here in the 60s or 50s and developed a life here. People in my family from North Carolina began moving north to New York and Pennsylvania. And I've seen the census reports and I've done all the genealogical, whatever, like in the 40s. And so New York, Philly. And I had like one aunt who came to Philly and then other people started moving to Philly. So I saw that through line, but they always went back home, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
And so I was kind of always between Philadelphia and rural North Carolina.
Okay. And you, of course, grew up in the church, started playing the piano alongside your mother.
Well, actually, the thing is, I never really played.
Oh,
and I
okay.
didn't sing. No one knew that I was a musician until I was like 17, 18.
Okay. Okay. So
I was not the choir boy. My mom plays and sings. And
right.
I saw everything. I was there to witness all of that. But literally, when I opened my mouth for the first time, people were like, okay, plot twist. Who knew?
Yeah, right. Right. And when was that?
Literally in my teens.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
And then you went to college.
Right.
And what did you study music?
I did not study music.
You didn't study music. So you're just like one of these things that happens. I love it. I love it.
No. I'm not a prodigy. It's just like, when you listen, it's called having big ears.
Yeah, I guess. All right. That's cool. So who inspired you to pursue jazz then?
I think the trajectory started with Quiet Storm R&B, honestly, for me. And that was when I was 12 and like collecting CDs because it was CDs then. And for me, that's like the Anita Bakers, the Sades, the Rochelle Farrells, you fill in the blank of all that. And then when you start looking at album liner notes and you see, okay, George Duke, like one step is another step and another step. And I began to do my journey of, my music study was completely like academic and like, all right, I'm listening to everything. I was the archivist. And then I was in the Napster generation. So I was downloading everything. And I'm like, all right, I need to download everything John Coltrane ever did. And then it was YouTube. And it's like, all right, great. Now I can see every video that Carmen McRae ever was in. And then I already got the albums. You know what I mean? So I was always studying everything constantly. That was my journey. My journey was listening. Grew up in church, grew up listening. My mother's family, everyone's in a band. Uncle played the bass, uncle played the drums, mom sang, aunt sang, aunt plays organ, my mom plays piano. But I was in all these rooms in the studios listening, and the radio. My mom had a crazy music collection. So I was listening, pulling out the cassette tape, looking at the liner notes. It's real music literacy outside of, reading. I can read notes and do that, but really tracing the line of who did what.
Okay. So, you had a full-time job until recently, or not recently, maybe 4 years ago. Am I right?
My birthday, December 2019. Yeah.
Okay. That was right before the pandemic, too. So you decided to pursue music full-time.
Right.
And then the pandemic hit.
Right.
How are you feeling?
Better
about that decision.
literally better than ever.
That's good.
So I was super busy. I was so busy that people didn't know I had a day job.
Okay.
Prior to the pandemic. That was prior to the pandemic. And then when I quit, I felt relieved.
What made you pull the trigger?
I was at
because I know you were thinking about it for a long time, and you were like, "How can I can't keep doing both of these things."
I was at my wit's end, and it was gonna be quitting, or they gonna have to put me in some cuffs and take me out of here, because that supervisor, the manager, and I mean, I had an illustrious 15-year career, and already vested in a pension plan, et cetera, et cetera. But the bureaucracy of that environment was very unpleasant, to say the least. Unpleasant is a mild form of what I felt. And I'm gonna keep it PG, you know, because I don't.
Okay. I appreciate that.
Okay.
I appreciate that.
You know, I'm a jazz musician, baby.
Yeah.
I got some language for you. Yeah, I mean, it was time. It was beyond time. It was the point where people were like, "You still got a job? When you gonna quit your job?"
Oh yeah.
You know.
Right.
And it felt freeing, and it was beyond time. But I had also prepared financially as far as saving. Again, I was a workaholic. You know, with my day career. You know, again, I was managing people. You know, it was the whole thing. I worked in HR. It was the whole situation. And then by the time I would leave work every day or every other day, 3-4 times a week, and then go to a gig.
Yeah.
Several times a week. And so I knew that I needed to create space, because when you create space, even vocally, you know, this is how we make a bigger sound, is because we create more space in our body for the sound to occupy. I wasn't creating enough space in my life for the sound that I wanted to create to occupy.
I like that. That's good. So what personal characteristics do you think a vocalist has to have in order to do this thing full time? To devote, you know, a career to it?
Integrity, identity. So that identity thing and integrity thing. I was watching, completely unrelated but related, an interview with Lunel, a comedian who I love, and she was like, as a stand-up comic, you know, you don't have time. You know, this is a field in which the more you're trying to be, the worse you are. And so the people that we think are iconic in this world they weren't trying to be. And that's why we still remember them today, 20, 30, 40 years after 50, 60 years after they've gone, because they were who they were, you know. And there's a preponderance of people who are imitating great people and kind of mix matching and pulling pieces and trying to become this mosaic, this collage of a jazz musician, instead of being who they actually are and having an identity and putting their own thing on it, understanding the language, but bringing themselves to it. It becomes a revelation. It becomes, you have to have information to be a vocalist. If you don't have information, you're making sounds. It might be pretty. It might be ugly. You're just making sounds until you have information. You know? It's a microphone. Yes. You on a megaphone with a spotlight. It's a microscope and a megaphone. You better have something to say, otherwise, what are you doing right now?
Yeah.
So I mean, you know, we could talk about business savvy and all of that, but like, don't bore people. Say something interesting.
Yeah, I get it. Well, Samara Joy just won for you know, she won for her best jazz vocal and also for best new artist.
Wow.
Which is for a jazz artist to win for best new artist. You know, like I've heard some vocalists say how they're inspired by that. How does that make you? Did it impact you at all? Seeing her win.
It's dope. So I didn't witness it because I was working. But when I found out, I was like, "That's crazy. Good for her. That's great. She deserves all the good things that the universe is going to give to her." I truly believe that. It's interesting to see how things turn, you know, and I think it suggests a lot. I'm not really clear everything that even suggests for you and for me. You know what I mean? But to see this happening in this moment for that young lady is a beautiful thing. And I would much rather it be her than a lot of other people who I would definitely be like, "No, what are you doing?" You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's all I'm gonna say.
Okay.
you know. And the girl can sing. She's young and she has a bright future ahead of her.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I don't know if I would say she's before her time because I would love to believe that this is her time,
Mm-hmm.
you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I just hope she keeps riding the wave and pushing forward and doing the most and being the best. And you know, it's it's
Yeah.
it's 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 dope that she is this young and getting that now. I really hope that she's able to capitalize and build on that
Right.
in a way that is impactful for her and you know for the music itself as well.
Yeah, that's more what I was talking about too, because people say that jazz vocals is dead, basically. Like nobody listens to jazz vocals. That's not true. It's just not true. And to see that happen for her, I was very excited. Um,
I'm very excited. It's very
mhm.
interesting to see.
Mhm.
I also know that I feel like jazz sometimes can be a calling card or a dog whistle because a lot of
Mhm.
people see jazz and when they say jazz, it's like, what do you mean? What are you talking about?
Mhm.
You know, and so to say jazz is dead, what does that mean? That sounds ridiculous.
Right.
Uh,
Right.
and the people, oh my God, I love jazz. And I'm like, all right, let me see who they talking about. Because you could say I love jazz and then say some whack stuff. And I'm like, you don't actually know jazz. So it's all subjective and relative, right?
Right.
Um, but for that person who I know has done the work,
Mhm. Yes. Yes.
you
Exactly.
know,
Exactly.
that's all I got
Exactly.
to say.
Well, let's talk a little bit more about what it takes to make it in the studio. When
Mm,
you're an indie artist, so that means that you're in charge of promoting, paying, and all of that. How do you make it work? Like, because you're not the only one on your record playing the piano and singing. You have uh, violins and arrangers, trumpet, trombone. I mean, come on, you're putting out some resources.
absolutely.
How do you make it work?
This last project is at least maybe 2 dozen people on that project. And
Yeah.
I mean, I personally know, I think all but one person on that project. So yes, to be clear, you have to have resources to do that. So that's
Mm-hmm.
not, you know, that's to say you have to know people, you have to be in community because it's, you know, jazz is
Yeah.
community music. One, it takes a community of people. You can do a solo record, perhaps, you know,
Mm-hmm.
and I guess there are people who've done those. Um, but my endeavor was not just to do, and I could, maybe I will, maybe one day it's going to just be me and a piano. And I could do that because I'm fortunate enough to be able to do that. But
Mm-hmm.
my game plan has always been to create something that would stand up in the same vein of, you know, some of our favorite vocal albums that
Mm-hmm.
we've all studied and listened to and put
Mm-hmm.
on, not when we're studying, but just listen to, right? To
Mm-hmm.
make music with great musicians that I happen to know. I'm fortunate enough to be in a fantastic community of powerful, industrious, brilliant musicians. And I get to say, hey, I'm doing a record. I have this one song. I just need you. I wrote a chart. I have this idea, or he wrote a chart. I just need you for this one song. How much could you charge me to come in the studio to do that? And then they say the thing, and I give them what they want. That's an amazing and powerful position to be in because I'm not trying to nickel and dime nobody. I'm not,
Mm-hmm.
you know, grabbing you by your wrist. I'm not capping your head up
Mm-hmm.
and, you know, giving you all these lies. I'm
Mm-hmm.
literally, as a person in this community, in community with you, trying to create art, create beautiful art. If I commission an arrangement, I ask you, how much would you charge? What's your timeline? How long is it going to take? All right, great. Let me know when you're ready. Who you want on the record? Oh, I like those my brother. All those people are my brothers. That's great. All right, how much we got to pay for the band? Okay, great, cool. This is the date. I booked the studio. Let's go. But you got to have money to do that. Yes, this is
Yeah.
true. Um, Here's the interesting plot twist. Right after I quit my job, so I quit December 19. Of course, March 20 was the pandemic, the beginning of what we call the pandemic. I actually low key began investing like micro doses in Bitcoin.
Ah.
And this was just like
Mm.
one of my friends is a crypto expert, and she's been Dr. Tanya Evans, who is lawyer. She's on the circuit, lawyer, whole deal. So she was like, "Yo, you need to get in this Bitcoin thing because I'm telling you right now." We call each other twins. Twin, you better get in. You know. So
Mm-hmm.
I put a little bit in, and I hit the right time too.
Mm-hmm.
The value inflated like exponentially. I'll just say this. Long story short, my initial investment probably quadrupled within a year.
Oh, wow.
And so literally I was able to take some of that. I know you're supposed to keep everything in that, but I was like, no, no. So I took a little corner out of that
Mm-hmm.
to finance studio
Okay.
time and to pay, arrangement slash the people in the studio. All right, how much you want? All right, 200. All right, blah, 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 blah. I literally financed this project mostly through Bitcoin.
Wow. See, all those times there Bitcoin is hitting me up on Instagram and I'm just turning them away.
Well, I
I
mean, not those
can't
weird,
believe
crazy people.
I'm just playing. I know what you're
Right.
saying though. I know.
It's a little weird now. I'm not saying, and
Yeah.
I didn't bet the farm on it.
Yeah, yeah.
Also, it's honestly not that expensive if you are intelligent about if you have the
Mm-hmm.
right people and you know
Mm-hmm.
how to do the thing. I
Yeah.
didn't go
Yeah,
into
yeah,
the
yeah.
studio. I don't practice in the studio. When we go to the studio, everything is written down. I hire the right cats who come in and they pop, 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 pop. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah.
It's not like,
Yeah.
diddling and dawdling. I don't know. No, no,
Yeah.
no, 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 no. Because
Right.
I'm doing a studio session. It's going to be 4 hours and 5 hours. And we're going to do 3 songs. All right. This song is from 11 to 12:30. Whatever y'all got, when we get the take, it's cool. I'll worry about my vocals later. I'm going to do a scratch vocal. I'm going to come back later. All right.
Mm.
12:30 to 2. Let's do the other song. All right. Thanks. Thanks for coming out. Bringing the next person. Da, 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 da. That's how I'm running the studio like that. Because studio,
Yeah.
75, 100, 125 per hour.
I
You know,
know. Right. Right. Right.
easy.
Easy. Yeah. So I'm not gonna hold you too much longer, but I do have a question.
Sure.
Um, Tell me about a time that a failure
Mm.
turned in turned into a success. And I
Hmm.
might have you sing since you're sitting right there in front
Oh
of a
Lord.
piano.
Right. I don't know how the sound is going to sound on this. But I mean, we could do a little something. But
Okay.
a time that a failure started, I feel like that's what live performance is for.
Mm,
I feel like that's been because again, I believe that me being a studio musician is a new development. I've been performing live at different levels, at different qualities for 20 years. But studios, I had to learn studio real quick because I realized, oh, it's not live. It's a whole different thing,
yeah.
you know that, right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so live, although live is in front of people, actually, no, studio. I think studio is the lesson. That's what studio taught me.
Mm, okay.
Studio is the opportunity to make a moment perfect.
Mm,
Live is an opportunity to execute a moment as perfectly as you can.
right.
And you can't redo it in front of
Yeah.
the same people.
No. That is true.
And then when you're efficient in the studio, you learn how to execute perfect moments, close as possible within
Hmm.
one or two takes. By the time you get to the fourth take, it's done. You only get
Hmm.
3 takes, baby. I'm gonna tell you, the
Yeah,
third take better be the one, because after that, it's over.
it's over. Oh
Yeah.
my God. Oh, well, I love the new record.
Thank you.
Everybody should get it. The King Suite. They can find it on every outlet, right?
That's right.
Yeah, 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 yeah. You can go to the Shayne Frederick's website, which is
vshane.com.
theshane.com. Check him out, read his story, get to know him, listen to all of his music. Tune in to WDPS. 89.5.
That's right. You better.
Dayton's home for jazz, because I'll be playing his music as well. And maybe he will just do a little something on the piano. He's sitting right in front of a piano. I don't know how coincidental this is, but maybe we can get him to do a little something.
Now the question is, I hope the sound quality. I don't know how this works, but we
won't. This might be one of the failures. Kelly, don't ask people to play the piano.
Right.
But it won't be. It won't be. It'll be fine.
It'll be fine. Let's see. This is for you, Kelly.
Okay. Ooh.
Sister, you've been on my mind. Sister, we two of a kind. Oh, sister, I'm keeping my eye on you. I bet you think I don't know nothing but singing the blues. Sister, have I got news for you? I'm something. I hope you think that you're something too. Scuffling, I've been up that lonesome road, seen a lot of suns going down. Trust me, ain't no low life gonna run me around. So let me tell you something, sister. Remember your name, no twister is gonna steal your stuff away, my sister. We sure ain't got a whole lot of time. So go ahead, shake your chamois, sister. 'Cause honey, Shayne is feeling fine.
Yes. Thank you so much. Oh, I love it. I love it. My favorite interview. Okay. Oh no, I want to thank you once again. Thank you so much for taking the time out to hang out this evening. And I'm going to keep pushing your music, and just good luck. Good luck. Hopefully I'll get to see you live soon.
I mean, listen, I'm coming to Ohio. I would love to come. Set me up. Send me the thing. I'm coming to Ohio. Find me a jazz club. I'm gonna bring my folks. Let's do it.
All right. Listen, watch out. Okay. All right. Well, have a good evening, and I'll talk to you soon.
Talk soon. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.